Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome back to another video. And I want to do a special shout out. Annyeonghaseyo, sewa. Hi. Well, I wanted to say hello to everyone. What are we doing today? Well, I think we are up to something like part 11 of our build of this guy right here. That would be the 1/35th scale German Panther tank by Meng. And that's this guy here. So we have him like this. So I spent the last week not really doing much on this. Really all I did was finished up the painting of the wheels. Painting the rubber around the edge of them, of each one. All, how many is there? 2, 4, 7, 8. So 16 of them. 16 wheels. So I got the rubber painted on those, so those are good to go. If you remember last time we painted this guy. We got that our light desert sand colored, although it doesn't look that light because of the pre-shading I did, but that color is done. Okay, so the next thing we got to do, since we are making this thing camouflage color, we got to mask this thing off to prepare it for the next color, which is going to be the green. So all the references I could find in the instructions called for this color green. Now this green is way too light. So what I did is I mixed it with a darker color and I came up with something like that you see on the lid. Okay, it's kind of a lighter olive drab is the end result. Kind of looks like that now. And I believe that matches much better with the actual green that's in the diagrams. Now to do my masking I'm going to reference the page out of the instruction manual, but I'm going to have it on my screen here. Okay, so that means this little picture here is going to change. So I'll show you guys in a moment here, if I can bring it up. This is our color scheme that we're doing. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this down. So we got that. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Okay, so that's the color that we're going for. I'm going to lay the green down first, and then I'm going to go with the brownish red. I've got the color here. It's the German red brown is what we're going for. That's the color there. Okay, although it looks pretty red, trust me, it's kind of a brownish color, and that should match pretty good on the actual on here. Okay, but first we got a mask. So I'm going to take this off, and what I'm using for the mask is this stuff here. This is my AK Interactive Camouflage Plastic Putty. Okay, now this stuff is like a kind of a goop, for lack of a better term. Comes in this container, but it's in this bag. Okay, I'm going to use this. If you guys have watched my channel, you guys know I used this on the K2 Black Panther tank when I built that. That was the first time I had ever used this stuff. So this stuff is almost like, sometimes it pulls off nice and crisp, and other times it really stretches. You can mold it, you can shape it, and what it does, like I'll show you here, if I set this up like this so it's nice and tall, this will just kind of level out on its own. Okay, so the trick is when you pull it down, put it down, you kind of squish it and level it out. You can pull it and shape it, do long strands, you can kind of roll it if you want into a long string, and then press it down. You can do all kinds of shapes with it, but when you're finished, what you want to do is kind of have it almost flat, because it will eventually settle down into its own little puddle, and it sticks pretty good. Once you press it in, it stays there, right? One thing I did find when I was using it for the first time, when you press it down into little crevices and stuff like that, when you go to pull it up, it kind of wants to stay there. But even though it does that, you can just kind of ball it up and do this, and it will pull itself out of the crevice. You just have to have some patience with it, that's all. So, that being said, that's what we're going to be doing today. I want to get the green laid down. And then once I've got that, hopefully I can get working on the red-brown tomorrow. So I'm going to bring this picture up here so that I've got a nice big picture in front of me, so I got a good idea of how the camouflage is going to go. So if I take this piece here, now you see sometimes it stretches like this, and other times it actually snaps. It all depends on how you pull it apart, and I haven't discovered the real trick to how to get it to actually do that. So that just kind of trial and error. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to kind of shape a piece here to go up on the side here like this. We want about that angle there. And again, the nice thing is you can push it into little cracks and crevices and it'll stay. And of course later on, if I do need to touch it up, I can touch it up with a brush. We are doing hard lines, we're not doing faded lines, which is why I'm doing this. If I was doing a soft fade like I did on the Russian tank, the Terminator, the camouflage pattern on that, I didn't do any masking. I just used the nice soft edges that the airbrush used, and that worked out great. But that's the look I was going for. That's a totally different look than this one, right? So now that being said, I just put this on here and I just realized what I need to do is leave only the spots for the green. That's something to keep in mind here. So that means I'm doing this differently. I want to go up kind of like this, going into this little crack here, and kind of going like that, putting this on as a reference guide how we want the camouflage pattern to go. Kind of like that. You can use all kinds of little tricks and techniques to put little bends in it that you want. It's very forgiving. You can lift it up, you can put it back down, and take my screwdriver and kind of just press it into this little crack here, just to make sure minimum overspray, right? And that's the beauty of this stuff, is it allows you to do that kind of stuff. Now of course I do have plates. These plates are going to be going on the sides here, but I'm not going to install them right now. I'm going to do them separate. Once I have this done and then I put them on, I will remask and do the plates separate. Now if you guys have noticed, this is already fallen over. It's wanting to settle down on its own. I do find this stuff is a tiny little bit oily. You get a little bit of an oily residue kind of stuff on your fingers. So you can wear gloves if you want. I don't find it to be that much of an annoyance. So I want to kind of mimic our little shape here for this. This is going to go on here, like so. I don't need this much. And I want this going kind of like this. I suppose if I really wanted to, I could grab my scissors and cut it, cut off the excess, like that. That works too. If that's more convenient than trying to stretch it and snap it and whatever. So now I want this to curve and go over this way, go down over the fender. That. Again, kind of using my pictures as a reference guide. One thing that's kind of cool is about camouflage stuff is you kind of have your own little freedom to do it as you want. And that's kind of what I'm going for right there. Okay, the next piece I want to do is we're shaping this around it. This is where it's going to get a bit tricky with this thing in the way. Now I'm going to use this. If you encounter spots like this where it's kind of going to a point and I don't want that, so I can kind of massage this out and turn it into a softer edge, kind of like I just did there. This stuff does settle down, so if you put it on really thick, it will kind of settle down and flatten out on you. And you may not want that, so that's why you see me pushing down on it to make sure it's flat. So this is actually going to continue all the way over to this side over here. But we've got another splotch, I'm going to call it a splotch, that kind of goes up here. So we can start off with this. Do-do-do-do. Start right about here. I'm going to go nice big bend and come back. Oops. See how much it's stretching on me? It's almost like hair. Now it's on my shirt. So it can be a bit of a pain. Like when it touches itself like that and then it sticks, and that's not what I was trying to do at all. So it can be a pain, but with some patience it's not too bad. All right, so So now I need to make this a little bit rounded. So I don't want a point here. Alright, there we go. So this spot here, I'm not going to be painting green. So I can cover that up. I can either put more of this stuff there and cover that up, or I can put a piece of masking tape. Masking tape sticks to this pretty good. There's no problem as far as that goes. I've got a little piece here. This is a little loose. I'm just going to take this off. This is just from, well, honestly, it's from handling it a little bit too much, and my glue has come loose. There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Okay. Next, we got another piece that needs to come up here. Kind of go over this. Okay. All right. So now I grab some more. Sometimes stretching it out to get a nice thin piece is helpful. Other times it's not. It's really, well, it all depends on what you're going for. This being the second time I've used this stuff, I'm still learning its unique characteristics. So, alright, so I want this to be here. Go up like that. Come out over this. And go up. You see what I mean? Sometimes it snaps and sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't snap, it's a pain in the neck. So I want it, when I go to pull a piece off, I want it to snap. There we go. So for this little section, I can kind of do this. As I said before, I can use it to mask those bigger sections just like this. Just like that. And cover up that hole. I can do the same here too. Especially like this spot here where there's going to be no green on this fender at all. Just like that. I could put some over top of this thing if I really wanted, if I was really concerned about it. I'm not though, it's not that big of a deal. I need to continue on with my pattern here. What am I doing here, right? So, we've got this spot here is going to be coming out. That's actually on the turret, so I'm going to have to just kind of make this up. Kind of like this. Okay. And this kind of goes over here. So this is going like this. A little too far back. I'll go a little like this. Kind of like that. Okay. And now this needs to do that. Kind of a turn. Down like that. So that's the nice way, the thing that this kind of settles, it sets kind of, so even on little spots where I put it over top of this little latch here, this is going to settle down and almost fill in on that little edge all by itself, and I don't really have to dig it in there and push it in too much because it's going to do it for me, right? I need to switch my picture to the other side as these are now draping over. I want to make sure. So this is actually going to be all green here with that will be perfect just like that. I'm going to cut this excess off. And this can continue down. Let's see here. This part is not green. So this is again, I can take my masking tape and you can tape right over it. Okay? You can literally tape over it. Like this. The tape sticks to it pretty good. Now, of course, it's masking tape, so you got to use all kinds of little bits and pieces. For camouflage like this, you got to put all these extra spots and extra little layers. That. That. And that would be the drawback of masking tape, is you have to manipulate it to sit where you want, and only where you want, all these little corners. And it can be a bit of a pain. Unless you like dealing with lots of tiny little pieces of masking tape. Like when I was doing the masking on the turpets, that was a lot of tiny little pieces of masking tape to go in all those little cracks and crevices on the turret, around the turrets and everything, and on the different decks. This is a bit too much of a pain to actually put on there, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this and I'm going to flatten it out to a little flat piece. Make a little pancake. Like that. And now, just for added measure, there. So now you can see how this pattern is going to work out. And then after this is done, I'm going to do the red. Right? So there you go. So we'll continue masking. I don't know if I'm actually going to get to painting this. I hope I do. You know what I'll do is, you know, you guys who watch me live, you get to watch this whole painstaking process. But you guys that watch me on YouTube, you won't have to, well, I won't make you suffer as much. I'll skip ahead a lot, I'll fast forward, just like I do with my painting. I'm going to scroll back down here a little bit so I get an idea of how this next piece comes up over here. Let's see. We go kind of on an angle. Go like this. And then come up. Just like that. Just to help it in there a little bit. It will settle. As you can see, this side is already, it's trying to settle down in between there, all on its own. That's the beauty of this stuff. And then this side is going to come up right about here, same kind of angle, but it's going to go around there. Okay. As we get up, we'll get up to here, kind of do this, and then right about there, make a sharp turn. Just like that. And I don't need this excess going inside. So I'll just flatten this out and use this like a big piece of flat masking tape, just to help with the overspray. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much. So this is going to be green. This in here is not. Okay? So once again, now it's kind of your choice. What do you want to use? Do you want to utilize partial masking tape and partial putty? Because the putty's reusable. I don't have to throw this out. Once I've done this color, I don't have to throw out the putty. The putty is reusable. All you do is you kind of pull the putty off, and then you just kind of massage it into itself and knead it like dough almost, and all the paint kind of just disappears. Now, looking at it, I can see some remnants of paint, little tiny flakes from the last time I painted with this stuff. But that's it. So on this side, we've got a little spot of green that's going to go on the back here. Just a little spot. So what I'm going to do is take this, I'm going to roll a little piece out. Put this on the side. It's about halfway up here. And then we come right back around. Don't do that. We come right back around here. This. Now I'm going to have to reference the back to see how that comes around on the back. It's very, very subtle on the back. It's almost like it's just that little corner, and that's it. So just kind of press it down. There we go. I'm going to use the tape for this spot. Now, like I said, this stuff is a little bit oily, so the tape doesn't stick perfectly, but it's good enough. It's definitely good enough to do the job, to keep the overspray from going on all over where you don't want it. I have seen guys not use any tape, they just use more of the goop and put it in the spots, and it suits them fine and it works perfectly. Okay, so we've got another strip that's going to go across the here. And we're going to say it goes like this and then comes around here, okay? So let's roll this one out here. We're going to be starting right at this little button, like this. Across this guy, coming back, over, down here, like this, and then coming back again like that. Now let's look at the other side of the tank. How does that come down here? Flip her around. Basically comes straight down like this. Okay, let's get another strip. This strip will work. Don't need it quite this long. Comes back up. This, and roughly halfway over that, going like this, and we're going on this side of the antenna, and we're going around it. back. To about there. Nice little pattern, just like that. Now this little section here, this looks like a hard angle, and it's actually going to be, it's going to have the brown coming straight across it like that. The brown is going to be over top of the green. So I can just leave this like that, and that will be perfectly fine. All I need to do is just make sure I've got suitable coverage in all the other places. So this is a little bit too thin. The overspray will definitely get on that. So I want to make sure I have this covered. And yes, doing a mixture of tape and goop is perfectly fine. The goop will come off the tape will come off the goop. They work well together. So when you see how much is actually left exposed, there's not that much green. Now I have to come down here still on this side. I mean, on the picture, you look at it, it looks like there's green all over the place. And of course, we haven't even touched the turret yet, right? So that's a whole other ball game right there. One thing you do not want to do with this stuff, you don't want to push it down into the mesh on these, like on the grills. You definitely don't want to do that. That's a real pain to try and get it out of those little holes. It will come, but you're not going to have a good time. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, I think that's good enough now. I'm not gonna, there is no, oh, there is a spot on this corner. How does that look on the side? It's similar to this side. Kind of comes up across here like this. I almost have it masked good enough. It's just a little sliver here. Okay. That's about perfect for that. Okay. Now we got to deal with this little area here. Going back to our reference and our top. We have this done. Okay. So right here we need to mask that. We got a big spot there. I'm going to turn the tank the same direction as the picture so I get a better idea of what I'm looking at here. this spot here. So come down to that side. Okay. One more here. And there's that one. Okay, so I'm going to just use our extra here to mask off this middle part. Spot here. Okay. I do have a little bit of excess here that I don't need. Just kind of squish them together, and I can just leave that like that. Okay, so that's the top. The front is done. The lower part of the front doesn't get any treatment at all, but the back does. So I just need to move my picture to have a look at the back. Actually, I'm wrong. The front does go. It goes all the way down into we got splotches all the way along here. So, all the way down to this spot. This doesn't get anything. It's only to here. Okay? So, let's get some more. We're almost finished. Almost ready to paint some green. Okay, so the back just has a couple of little strips. The front has a green, this big green blotch just continues down here. And there's another little spot that comes up, and that's it. So, excess. All right. Now they do have a kind of an intricate little pattern on the bottom here, so I am going to do a little bit of massaging on here. It's a little bit hard to do with your fingers. Again, that's the beauty of this stuff. You can massage it to get the shape you want. All right, here's that side, as you see there. let's take this one. This one I just kind of want to put a little strip. This here. Again, cutting off the extra because I won't be needing it. We don't want to paint this. This is not green at all. Well, it's hard to tell. They don't show any green, any other color than the sandy color on the very bottom here. So I can only assume we don't put any there, right? So I can just take a strip of masking tape and mask that part so that I don't get any overspray on that. So I'll just do that. Okay, so there we go. The front is done. So now we'll move to the back. We'll finish it off. Not much on the back. There's just going to be a green strip. This is going to come down. And then another one in there. It's kind of funny how they've got the camouflage not lining up with the storage containers, but I'm going to have it line up because that makes sense. Oops. Flare there. Flatten this out for masking purposes. Okay. I need more. I need more. Bear with me a moment. Okay. Another piece here. This should be enough to finish it off. Basically going to be masking off the middle here. It'd be nice if it stopped trying to fall on the floor. And then we got another piece going straight up the middle there. Let's massage this a little bit so we kind of go like this. And that one final spot to mask, just to cover it up, make sure I don't get no paint in the middle part here. And with that, we're ready to paint. Okay, so throw a coat on there, and then we'll be done. Let me check my other camera here. Get this thing off of the screen. Let me see, we'll go back to this picture. There's that, and we'll go back here. I want to check out this one. How are we doing with our painting cam? We are nowhere near where we need to be. There we go. You see my towel on the floor in the back there. Okay, so I'm going to move this puppy over here. And now, let's get some paint in our airbrush and get ready to go. Check something while I'm doing this. Yes, okay. My chat is chatty as ever. Very talkative, as usual. I don't know if you guys can see, but my fingers are a little bit black from massaging that stuff so much. And that's why I recommend you wear some latex gloves of some sort. Okay, so I already have this thinned out, so I don't have to add any thinner to it. Filled my cup about half full, something like that. It's probably going to be more than enough. Yeah, okay. So I'll change my cam, you can go back and watch me paint. Hello. Alright. So, basically, I'll start with the back. That about does it. We got a whole lot of green going on. I'm going to switch my camera back now. Okay. So, we're going to let this little guy dry for a minute while I clean up my airbrush. So, we have all this goo. So this is all dry now, right? It's been a few minutes, it's dry. So, I can remove my masking tape. As I said, the masking tape comes off the goo really easily, right? Just a matter of finding the corners and you just peel it. Comes off perfect. No problem. just like that, okay? And so in similar fashion, we can take this off now. In similar fashion, you just peel the goo right up. Now if you've got some delicate parts, obviously you need to be a little careful. You don't want to just start pulling and tugging on this stuff. Right? You want to be careful with what you're doing. But as you can see, it does leave very nice crisp lines. And so you have all this paint on here, right? All I gotta do is mash it all together. I don't want to waste any. Mash it together, and that paint just kind of melds itself in with it and disappears. No problem at all. So like I said, all you do is you just take your time, peel it up. You get pieces like this, doesn't really want to come off, that's fine. Just grab a little thing to help peel it back. That's all it takes. Some places it will stick a little better than others, especially if you've pressed on it a lot. That helps it stick, obviously. Now on the sides of this, of course, I do have some little hooks, so it's going to be kind of stuck in on the hooks a little bit. That's fine, that's normal. Just like that. This is around the headlight, which I did accidentally. I glued it on and then I wound up breaking it off at another point when I was working on it, so I just need to be careful to peel it around the light. There we go. Just gonna grab this in there. There we go. So, around our little barrel thing is a little bit tricky. Because it's an intricate piece where this stuff has gone into the little cracks and crevices. So, you have to be a little careful with it there. So this is where I mentioned before, this can be a little bit of a pain to get out of little spots like that, but it will come. See, right now it's turning to string rather than coming off, right? But the beauty of it, you can kind of coax it into pulling itself out, just like I did there. And now there's no more. Oh, here's a little spot. Just kind of almost like dabbing it. Dab, dab, dab. Any spot where it's basically not really wanting to come out of that crack, you can kind of coax it out. This was one of the first parts where I pressed it into that crack. There you go. It just comes right out. Just like that. I do have a little bit of overspray. See, I should have masked that part off, but that's not the end of the world. I still have the red to do, plus I've got all the weathering to do. If I really need to go back and redo the sand color, then I will. I don't anticipate having to do it because the weathering and everything will kind of fix those little imperfections for me. So stuck to the inside here on the hull where I've pressed it with my fingers. Almost there, almost there. That's it. There's our tank done. Well, it's not done. Okay, I'm exaggerating. The green is done. Okay, we got our big blob of stuff, and you can just take this and you just kind of knead it like dough, and all that green overspray is gone. Gone. Just like that. Of course, I've got a whole bunch of crap on my fingers, so I do have to wash my hands after this. That's a necessity. But the beauty is, put this back in the bag, just like that. Seal it up, just for added measure. Put her back in here, and she'll be ready for the next time I need it. Just like that. This stuff is really cool for that. I do like this stuff for this kind of thing. And there we have it. So there's our green tank. Well, we've got the green part of the camouflage done, and yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, of course, some of the pre-shading I did, like around this panel here with the sandy color, I didn't bother doing it with the green because I didn't want to come to the edge here and leave a bit of the sandy yellow color at this edge, right? Which is why you don't see, I didn't bother with that. But that's going to blend in with the weathering, panel lining, and all that kind of stuff, right? When I get to like adding the dust effects and like it's dusty and stuff. So that's that. So that's where I'm going to leave it here for tonight, guys. And yeah, so you guys who are watching me on YouTube, I really appreciate that. I appreciate it if you hit the like button below. If you like my videos, please then hit the like button. It doesn't cost anything. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe to me also? That would be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. And if you want to see some still pictures that I take of every build that I do and have done, you can go to my Instagram and you can check it out there. And I'll put links down in the description box below, and you can check those out if you like. And you can also head on over to my Twitch channel, and you can follow me on there, and you can watch me live while I'm doing this if you so choose. And yeah, you could even talk to me. Type in the chat there and it would appear here on the side, and you can see people talking. Obviously it's a blank chat box right now because nobody's said anything. And well, that's their prerogative, right? You don't have to chat if you don't want to. It's perfectly fine. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for tonight, guys. And next time we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to be putting the red on. Well, red-brown, what they call it, German red-brown. Yeah, that's the next color going on. And that will be next time. So, yeah, we'll leave it here for now. And yeah, thanks again for watching, and thanks for coming out. And we'll see you all in the next one.